Sonny Styles just landed on a national list, but the real reason he made it is about to piss off half of Ashburn, and there's a detail buried in the fine print that Washington isn't advertising, because while the team's celebrating their rookie, Laremy Tunsil just landed top 5 among every tackle in the NFL, according to ESPN, and in that same report, a rival defensive coach ripped him apart with a critique nobody's repeating, the exact reason he didn't crack the podium. And to close out the trio, while everybody's out here handing out Rookie of the Year hardware before a single snap is played, there's a Commanders veteran back in Ashburn who got buried at 5th on the receiver depth chart, even though he already proved in the playoffs he can laugh last. Sonny Styles under the microscope, Tunsil in the crosshairs, and Dyami Brown's return nobody saw coming. Burgundy and gold, this is just getting started. Raise hail. Alright, let's start with the first one. The NFL dropped its annual Rising Stars list this week, and Sonny Styles, our first round linebacker, pick number 7 in this year's draft, made the cut. He landed at number 6 among rookies, right behind Raiders quarterback Fernando Mendoza, the number 1 overall pick, and ahead of names like Titans receiver Carnell Tate. On the veteran side of the list, you've got guys like Tyler Show, Brock Bowers, and Kenneth Walker, the reigning Super Bowl MVP. So the company Styles is keeping here is not nothing. Now here's where I start scratching my head. Look at how the NFLPA itself describes the criteria. Matt Curtin, president of NFL Players Inc., said this list is their view into where the market is headed, and the report makes clear the ranking blends on-field performance with consumer interest, merchandise sales, social media growth, and something almost nobody's talking about, the size of each player's team market. Read that again, bro, because it's not a typo. Team market size. I'm not making this up. It's right there in the report. And that creates real tension for me, because Washington, D.C. is a massive market, one of the biggest in the league, and that alone pushes any player with real upside higher on a list that's supposed to measure who's about to blow up commercially. I'm gonna be straight with y'all, and I know this might sound like I'm going against the grain for a channel that loves the Commanders. I have zero problem admitting Sonny Styles has the physical talent to become a star. We saw it at the draft, we heard it out of OTAs, and the people who actually scout this stuff had him as one of the best linebackers in his class. But this specific list, Rising Stars, isn't measuring that. It's measuring whether you're going to sell jerseys. And that's exactly where some fans, fairly, are frustrated, because it feels like the league is rewarding the possibility of fame before the production shows up. Think about this with a clear head. Styles hasn't played a single regular season snap in the NFL. Not one. We don't know if he's going to be a consistent tackler. We don't know how he handles his first real Sunday against a veteran offensive line trying to misdirect him, and yet he's already on a national list next to guys who've already proven something on the field, guys like Brock Bowers or Kenneth Walker. That contrast is exactly what's fueling the controversy, and honestly, I get why fans of other teams are calling this pure market hype. That said, and here's my actual position, because I'm not here to please everybody, I think there's a difference between undeserved hype and early recognition that's actually grounded in something real. Styles didn't land on this list out of nowhere. He was picked 7 overall. Teams don't burn a top 10 pick on a linebacker without serious scouting behind it, unlike some other guys who land on these lists purely because of name recognition or market size without even being a first rounder. So yes, the market criteria is real, and we should call it out honestly, but it doesn't erase the fact that football people, the actual scouts and evaluators, already saw a top-tier talent in Styles long before any marketing list existed. What worries me, and this is what I want us to talk about in the comments, is the pressure this puts on a rookie. When you enter the league with the NFLPA telling the world you're a future commercial star, the social expectation spikes before you've even played your first real game, and if the start of the season is slow, which happens to almost every rookie linebacker, some fans are going to overreact because the bar was already set sky high back in July. My final read on this one. Celebrate Styles. Celebrate him with your whole chest, because the talent is real and the pick felt right from draft night. But don't confuse a commercial projection list with validation of on-field production. Those are two different things, and next time you see a ranking like this, read the fine print before you post it like it's a purely football achievement, because it isn't, not entirely. Okay fam, I got that one off my chest. Now let's move to something that gives me mixed feelings for the exact opposite reason. ESPN dropped its annual ranking of the league's 10 best tackles, now in its 7th year, built from votes from more than 70 executives, coaches, and scouts across the league. Number 1 was Penei Sewell of the Lions. Number 2, none other than Trent Williams, the same Trent Williams who probably should have played his whole career here in Washington if fate had been a little kinder to us. And at number 5 sits Laramie Tunsil, right ahead of Darnell Wright of the Bears, Lane Johnson of the Eagles, and Andrew Thomas of the Giants. One NFC executive described him this way in Jeremy Fowler's piece: "Underrated to me, bulletproof in both phases, has another gear." And the numbers behind that quote are serious. Per ESPN's own report, Tunsil gave up 4 sacks and 393 pass blocking opportunities, with a pass block win rate of 91.5%. He was flagged for only 5 penalties, down from 17 the year before. And he leads the position in pay at $30.1 million a year. Now here's something not everybody's looking at, and this is exactly the kind of fine print I like reading before I post a video celebrating blindly. ESPN's own report also included the voice of a veteran defensive coach from another team who was a lot harder on Tunsil. He said, word for word, that Tunsil makes mistakes and blows protection assignments on communication. That's the real critique almost nobody's talking about in the fan groups. And honestly, it interests me a lot more than any conspiracy theory about the ranking, because it comes from somebody who studied him on film, not a heated fan on social media. And there's one more thing I want to flag, because it's my job to check more than one source before I open my mouth. The Commanders' own team site, in its story on this ranking, said Tunsil was beaten on just 7.9% of run plays, calling that the second best number in the NFC. But when you go to the independent Pro Football Focus database, Tunsil's run block grade for 2025 comes out to 75.3, which puts him 21st among 89 qualified tackles in the entire league. That's not a terrible number, but it's nowhere close to second best in the conference. That gap between the team's own framing and the raw independent numbers is exactly the kind of thing this channel exists to point out. Rookie Josh Connerly Jr., who lines up right next to him, summed it up simply. He said the biggest thing about Tunsil is his ability to grab hold of somebody in the run game and just run them off the ball completely. That, coming from a teammate who watches him in the trenches every single day, means more to me than any desk analysis out of Bristol, even though the PFF numbers tell us there's real room to grow in that specific part of his game. So here's my honest take after reading all of this. Sitting behind Penei Sewell and Trent Williams isn't an insult of any kind. Those are 2 of the best tackles the league has seen in the last decade. No debate there. What still bugs me is who's occupying spots 3 and 4, since ESPN didn't reveal those names in what I've got in front of me. And if those guys allow fewer sacks and play with more consistency than Tunsil, then fine. There's a real conversation to have. As a pass protector, I've got Tunsil playing at a podium level. As a run blocker, the independent numbers say he's still got a rung to climb, and that communication critique from the rival coach is worth taking seriously heading into training camp. Okay, fam, draw your own conclusions on that one, and tell me in the comments where you would have ranked Tunsil. I already told you mine. Now let's close this one out with something a lot lighter, pure storytelling, because what's happening in Washington's receiver room and backfield is honestly funny once you look at it from the outside. Alright, to close things out, I need to tell y'all something that's had me smiling since I read it. Remember, Washington changed offensive coordinators this year. David Blau is calling plays for the first time in his career after spending the last few years as the assistant quarterback's coach who helped Jaden Daniels win Offensive Rookie of the Year back in 2024. An Athletic writer already put him on her list of coordinators to watch closely in 2026, right alongside defensive coordinator Durante Jones, so there's real expectation around what kind of offense Blau is going to run this year. And here's the funny part. With Terry McLaurin as the only total lock at receiver, 3 completely different storylines suddenly popped up fighting to become the second man in this offense, and none of the 3 is a traditional wide receiver at 100%. First up is Jackery Krosky Merritt. Everybody in Washington calls him Bill. This guy was a 7th round pick last year, started the 2025 season buried behind veteran Austin Eckler, and when he finally got his shot in week 5, he exploded for over 100 rushing yards in his first career start. He closed the year strong with 4 touchdowns over his final 4 games, including a Christmas Day performance against Dallas with 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, with Eckler gone from the roster, Bill said something simple but pointed during minicamp. I know I've got to keep working and be an even better version. And he made clear last year isn't the ceiling, and what's circulating is that Blau wants to use him a lot more as a pass catcher out of the backfield, because in 2025, he only saw 13 targets all season and caught 0 over his final 6 weeks. If Bill turns into a reliable pass-catching release valve for Jaden Daniels, that solves a real offensive problem without needing to sign a brand new wide receiver. Second, we've got Antonio Williams, the Clemson rookie Washington picked in the 3rd round of this draft. ESPN already came out and said Williams has a real shot at winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, and analyst Ben Solak wrote that very few middle-round rookies get projections as rosy as Williams is heading into year 1. The argument is that this year's quarterback and running back class is weak, so the award could end up going to a wide receiver instead, and Williams has the clearest path of anybody because he's catching passes from Jaden Daniels instead of some rookie quarterback. General Manager Adam Peters already came out publicly praising him, saying they feel really fortunate to have him in the 3rd round. Here's my internal thought on this one, and I'm sharing it exactly how it hit me when I read it. They're predicting Offensive Rookie of the Year, bro, for a guy who hasn't played a single down in the NFL yet, not one. And don't get me wrong, I get the statistical argument behind it, but this is literally the same kind of premature hype we just talked about with Sonny Styles. The whole league is in the business of projecting stars before anybody's even strapped on shoulder pads for a real regular season Sunday. And third, the one that makes me smile the most, Dyami Brown is back in Washington after a lost year with Jacksonville, where he fell out of the active lineup down the stretch. But remember this, fam, because short memory can work against us here. The last time we saw Dyami Brown in a Commanders jersey, he was the X factor of Cliff Kingsbury's offense during the 2024 playoffs. He replaced Noah Brown after Noah went down injured, and across those 3 playoff games, he racked up 229 receiving yards. In 4 full regular seasons in Washington, he never topped 308 yards in a single season, and yet in the biggest moment with the season on the line, he's the one who showed up. Now Brown comes back to a receiver room where, on paper, he sits behind McLaurin, Treylon Burks, Antonio Williams, Luke McCaffrey, and Jalen Lane, 5th on the depth chart, but I'm asking the same question local reporters are asking this week. Is that receiver group really that much better than the 2024 version to justify burying Brown at number 5? Burks hasn't shown anything consistent in Washington yet. McCaffrey and Lane are rotational pieces, not proven starting options. And Williams, with all of ESPN's hype on his back, is still a rookie who's never played an NFL game. This is exactly the kind of situation I love breaking down, because while everybody's staring at shiny projections and preseason award lists, there's a veteran with an actual track record of showing up in the big moment, quietly training, presumably underrated on the depth chart, waiting for his shot at camp. And if football has taught us anything the last few years, July depth charts almost never survive intact until September, my personal prediction to close this one out. I think we end the season with Krosky Merritt turned into a legitimate pass-catching threat out of the backfield, Antonio Williams contributing solidly but not winning any rookie awards this year, and Dyami Brown earning a real role back at some point during the season, probably when somebody gets hurt or when Blau needs a receiver with real chemistry with Jaden Daniels in a big game. The irony would be perfect. While everybody's talking about the new names and the promising rookie lists, the guy who already lived through the biggest moment 2 years ago ends up being once again the one who shows up when it matters most. That's everything I've got for you today, fam. Quick recap. Sonny Styles landed on a Rising Stars list that measures both market and talent, and that's the real controversy y'all should be discussing. Laramie Tunsil finished top 5 in the league according to ESPN with numbers that, honestly, look top 3 to me, and I'm not scared to say that even against the national consensus. And on offense, we've got a beautiful mess between a running back who might become a pass-catching weapon, a rookie already getting award buzz before playing a single snap, and a forgotten veteran who's already proven once he shows up when it's biggest. Like I always say on this channel, I'm not here to repeat what you already heard somewhere else. I'm here to read the fine print, question the numbers when they don't add up, and defend this team with passion, but also with judgment. If this video gave you something to think about, or if it just made you a little mad at me over what I said about Tunsil, drop the like and subscribe because tomorrow we're right back at it. And tell me down in the comments, do y'all think the market criteria is inflating Sonny Styles' resume, or did he earn this one clean? I want to read every single response. See y'all in the next one. Raise hail, always.